So I love terrible movies and I also love sci-fi movies, so I thought why not combine the two and watch terrible sci-fi movies. So today I'm going to watch the 1981 Roger Corman film Galaxy of Terror. I've seen a few other Roger Corman films, so I kind of know what to expect. I don't have the bar set very high. I know he's kind of known for being like the king of B movies and just making these really low budget films, but I still like them overall. I love bad movies, so I'm excited to finally watch this. If you have any other suggestions for terrible movies you think I should watch, please comment below. And if you're ever curious about what gear I use or what's on the bookshelf, I've included a link in the description. And if you want to have a say in what movies or TV shows I watch, be sure to join Patreon. And as always, please like, comment, and subscribe to this channel, and check back often for more awesome content. I'm not expecting to recognize anybody in the cast. Robert Englund's in this? Really? Oh my gosh. That's crazy. I only honestly know him as Freddy from Nightmare on Elm Street. Yeah, honestly, I don't even think I'd recognize Robert Englund because I only know him with like the makeup and like the special effects. Laser, laser, pew 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 pew. Ah! That was so fake, but I love it. Oh, bonked him. He bonked himself. I feel like this is going to be a lot like another Roger Corman film, Forbidden Planet? Forbidden World? Forbidden World.
The game. I play at the bidding of the all-powerful.
What? His face is just like red? What?
Leave me. The waiting is over.
Is he going to be like this for the whole movie? Like a weird form of censorship or something?
Mission, rescue, destination.
Yeah, and he was talking about some kind of rescue mission, so not something super original, obviously, but it sounds like he's going to pick his own crew and go and rescue those people at the beginning of the movie that we saw, I'm guessing.
Since the Hesperus, if I'm not mistaken.
Hesperus. Yes.
Something bad happened? Oh.
Presets.
If we have to get there at all, we might as well get there fast.
Whoa, hyper jump. Okay, here we go.
The only survivor of the Hesperus massacre. She flew the ship back alone.
Good to know we're in safe hands.
This character survived a massacre, and she's the only survivor, and... Okay, suspicious. How did she survive? Whoa, here we go.
The subtle energies do exist. They even pay me to sense them, alright?
Okay, she has some kind of special abilities where she can sense things stronger than other people. Is that like a throwing star he had? Like a plastic? What was that? Ah! Oh, God! Oh! Okay, maybe it was a throwing star. Oh, we got a puker. Pew! Oh, yeah. When in doubt, set him on fire. That was like so fake. That was like 4 seconds. Just blasted him. They don't seem curious to find out how these people died or why they died. Okay, yeah, some creature on board. We've seen that before, but I feel like it'll be super cheesy. Yeah, it looks like a insect of some kind, but also a giant version. They look more like Ghostbusters than anything else. Yeah, is he the only one that like sees this creature? Oh God! What was that? Oh! Ah! Oh my God! Oh! Oh God! Yeah, no shortage of gore in Roger Corman movies. Okay, bye. Yeah, what was that thing?
Weren't so gruesome.
Oh, yeah. One down.
Is still as dark as Morganthus, isn't it?
So making lemonade? What do we got going on here?
Cause died of a massive hemorrhage from the puncture wound. Just as booked. Nothing revealing on the other one either.
Oh god, yeah, there it is. Love to zoom in for the smashed in head shot.
Here it comes.
It looks like when you go fishing, when they like scan the waves on the water underneath, or the movements underwater.
Investigate.
Yeah, and I'm always curious. I feel like they still would have used like matte paintings maybe, or something like that. Like, I don't know how much computers were involved. I know it was still early 80s, but yeah, the sets, like, this looks like a giant junkyard basically of all this tech gear that they don't use anymore. Yeah, and that one girl gets like special intuition, or she has some like sense that nobody else has, or is a stronger version of other people's senses. But so there was like no life or anything out here. And yeah, they said there's 4 people still missing that they're trying to find from the ship. Yeah, I was wondering what was going on with that red glowing face master guy.
You don't need to do that. If there's something down there, we all should go down.
Yeah, he's just decided by himself he's gonna climb down this very deep hole.
I give the orders here, Captain.
And like earlier, he was talking about how nervous he was. Yeah, why is he volunteering to climb down this giant hole?
I'm going down another 4 laps.
Oh, shoot. Yeah, and he was saying this, like, dark message or something before he went down. Like, oh, God.
Alfred's alive!
Yeah, bye.
Piton slip, Commander. We've got you now. How much more?
He seems disappointed that they caught him. What was that thing? Looks like the inside of like a baking pan or something.
Anything down there yet?
Not yet.
Ah! Oh, yep, found it. Yeah. Ooh, so squishy sounding. Ah! Oh, we chopped it. Oh! Oh my god, it went right for his face. Yeah. It's like a leech? Like it's like sucking the blood out of him or something?
They're out there.
She thinks whatever attacked her on that other planet is attacking them now.
These damn wormholes. I hate worms.
I wouldn't recommend Dune then for you. That would be a bad time.
We'll take that one. I want you each to follow me in 10-second intervals.
He doesn't want this gun. He's like, I only use my crystals, but that door crushed them, so... They haven't really, like, that's under the vague premise of a rescue mission, but that's all we really know. He really loved those crystals, I'm guessing. Oh no! I don't think that's gonna work. Yeah, you're gonna get crushed. Yeah. What? Oh, science. Okay, yeah, he's back outside of this cave thing now, and his crystals are fixed. Oh, God. That went right for the vein. Death by his own crystals. Oh! Oh, God. No shortage of gore. Oh, gross. So gross. It's like moving under his skin. Oh! That would be a nightmare. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. I can't watch that. That's horrible. Oh, he chopped off his own arm with very swift precision with his other hand. So fake. So fake. Oh, now his arm's coming back to life. Is this like a dream or something? What's going on? He's using his favorite weapons against himself. Yep. Pew! Right through the heart. Oh, God. Oh, my God. No, thank you. So fake. Laser. Yeah, just setting everything on fire. One is the loneliest worm. Wow. Ew.
Please be there.
Oh my God. Yeah, this thing's growing and growing.
Ranger! Amy, I'm calling the quest.
The crew's just getting killed off one by one.
Ranger!
Oh man. Yeah, she's the one who said she hated worms earlier, right? Okay. And now suddenly a worm's appearing? Ew. Oh my God. Ew. Wouldn't be a Roger Corman movie without some boobies. Is it? I thought it was eating her, but maybe not. Is that thing trying to mate with her? That's, oh God, I can't even think about that. Oh, bonked him. Right to the back of the neck. What? She thinks she sees something out there that she needs to attack, but... Yeah, everybody seems to be seeing their own thing, or like having their own... Yeah, what? And now he's in the chair?
Where's the captain?
Oh! Uh-oh, that's not good. Yeah, it's not like there's one monster coming after all of them. Like they... Whoa! God, he doesn't have a face! Yeah, bye. Yeah. Yeah, they're all dealing with separate things. Yeah, he has zero attachment to anybody. Like, he just set one of his own crew members on fire, but doesn't seem overly concerned about it.
Damn if I'm staying here alone.
Yeah, she's like, there's no more like, the chance of them finding survivors obviously are very slim at this point, so she wanted to leave, but they're like, no, we have to finish the mission. This cook is now joining them. I think the guy with short curly hair is Robert Englund, but again, I have no idea. It's hard to tell when he's wearing a makeup and prosthetics and all that stuff for the majority of his roles.
It's still here.
Yeah, they said it was all, like, all of these things were coming from the same point when they did that scan. Yeah. They haven't really explained why each person is being attacked by a different monster and why the other people can't seem to see it or notice it, but yeah, it's an interesting concept. I wasn't expecting that. I thought there would be some, like, one evil thing that they would try and take over, as opposed to, like, these different creatures and different things attacking them. Ah! Oh, God. Oh! Some kind of, like, demon creature or something? What the frick was that? That'd be so scary. You're just like stuck out, like completely dark. You're separated from. Ah! Oh God! They chomped him. Oh God! Oh! They ripped open his belly. Yeah. I feel like they're gonna need a rescue mission soon. At this point, like there's dropping like flies. Yeah, I think Ranger is the one who's Robert Englund. Yeah, I'm curious what this glowing triangle does. Oh God! Is that his friend? attacking himself? Whoa, that's so crazy. Usually it's just like, here's a monster, go get it, having separate monsters for everybody. I mean, the rescue mission is still obviously very generic, but this is a cool concept. What? Oh! It doesn't affect him? What? How do you... Oh, God! That'd be so weird, yeah, fighting something that looks just like you? Oh, man. Okay. So once he acknowledged that it wasn't real, it disappears? He's like, yeah, there's blood but no guts. Like, this is a figment of my imagination or something like that. And then, yeah, he's like, oh, you're not real. It's not... I have nothing to fight against. You're not actually here. Oh my god. Oh god. Oh, oh god! It's squeezing her insides. Just break her ribs? Oh god. Oh. Ew. Oh god. Yeah, Roger Corman loves his head explosions. That's for sure.
I knew that when I saw Luma.
Okay, yeah, that's interesting. They're fighting their own fears. That's cool. Yeah, what's that guy's worst fear? What's Core's worst fear? That's cool the way he's sitting on like the clear glass or plastic thing to make him look like he's floating. Oh, he's the master! Oh, look at that. Plot twist.
Until now.
Yeah, he's like, it's a toy that was used for these banished children to control their fears, and it sounds like that's where he grew up and he learned how to control his fears, so now he's a master. Oh god, not the worm again. Ah! So does he have to defeat everybody else's fears? Like he had to defeat the worm thing and that other creature. Yeah, now these like dead crew members are what he fears. Those fight sounds are so fake. Oh, it was the master. Okay. What? Where are those lasers coming from? What? It's like out of his belly? What? What is this?
Who you are. You are the master.
Okay, yeah, so he's become the master now. And he said he'd never do, like he would never just send a crew here, obviously unaware of what they were getting into. It's like the 10th person that's been set on fire in this movie. Whoa, sci-fi, bye! Yeah, now he's got this red glow. Okay. James Cameron, production designer. I know he'd worked on a few other Roger Corman films, so that's awesome to see him working on this as well. It's so interesting to see like how their careers started off, like before he got into directing. Oh, he was also the second unit director? Okay, cool. So that was my first time watching the 1981 Roger Corman film Galaxy of Terror. Lots of gore, which is something we've come to see in other Roger Corman films as well. It was more of a creative concept. I don't know where he got the idea from this. I'm sure it was borrowed from something else. It definitely had like alien vibes, like, and we've seen rescue missions gone awry in sci-fi numerous times, but I did like the idea of it being more creative, and they didn't really explain what was happening until the very end, and then even then it was kind of just that one-off sentence Ranger was saying with like, oh, it's our fears. So I'm interpreting that as what they're scared of the most is what was attacking them, or what they were afraid of, as each person dealt with something different. It wasn't like one monster was coming after all of them. Each individual person had their own monster, and they could only, that person was able to see it. Like that guy was like, I live and die by the crystals, was in fact attacked by his own crystals. And that, oh God, that was, it just, I could feel it. You know, those scenes you can feel, like the crystals crawling up his arm, and just, oh, that would be so painful. And it's usually when the people were isolated, they were on their own and separated from the group, that these things happened. So gross. And I lost count of how many people were set on fire and how many faces were exploded or destroyed. I know that's something Roger Corman loves to do as well. And it definitely reminded me of Forbidden World, which is another Roger Corman movie I've watched recently, where faces are melted off, and just that seems to be his go-to. James Cameron worked on special effects on this and also was the director for the second unit, so I love seeing those earlier days, and it's so cool to find out where their career started, if he was always a director. And I know he's worked on other Roger Corman films, so it was nice to see his name in the credits on this as well. And I always wonder if working on these movies made him change, like why he didn't stick with art department, why he went more the directional route. Maybe he just wanted on-set experience and was like, I'll work in the art department, knowing that he would eventually work his way up to becoming director. Like we saw in this one, he was the second unit director. Robert Englund was also in this film, who is most known for his Nightmare on Elm Street roles as Freddy Krueger. That's where I've seen him before. And I'm guessing he was the character of Ranger with like the short curly hair. Again, it's hard to guess, but given the time jump that it was a long time ago, and also that his main character, Freddy Krueger, usually has a very scarred face and makeup and prosthetics, and it's kind of hard to see what he actually looks like. And it's obviously now he would look a lot older than he did in 1981 or 1980 whenever they filmed it, but that's my guess. I will look it up now that I've seen it, but I feel like he was the person with the most similar face shape. I didn't recognize any of the other cast members, anything like that, but again, that's not usually new for Roger Corman. Usually he has either C-list or lesser known actors. I thought it was interesting, this concept of the master. We saw him very briefly at the beginning and then very briefly at the end, and then we also find out he's actually the cook. We couldn't see his face at the beginning of the film, as he had this like reddish glow around him, like some weird censorship or something, so it was hard to see who he was. And then we find out that he's pretending to be this cook on the ship, and he's the one who had hand selected all these people. And like that other crew member said, he's like, you sent us here knowing it was a trap, basically. You knew what was going to happen, and you chose to bring us here anyway so that we could conquer our fears. And unfortunately for most of the crew, they were not able to do that, as we saw them killed off one by one. It's such a creative concept, and it's such a dark concept, because the person who's being attacked has control over the situation, even though they don't think they do. Like when Ranger's character was fighting with the clone of himself, or a version of himself, and it looked exactly like him, and he's trying to, you know, shoot him with his laser gun, and nothing's happening. And then I think the line was like, you have blood but no guts, or something like that. And he realized, okay, like something's not adding up. Like, you should be injured if you're a person. If you're a human, something should be happening. And then he's like, oh, this isn't real. And he's able to put it together that this isn't real. And as soon as he, I think, says that out loud, this other thing disappears, and he realizes, okay, I have control of a situation as long as I can control my fear. And that's what the master was trying to do. He was trying to set them on this very dark and twisted quest to control their fears and to learn how to manage it. And the fact the master said that this used to be a toy that they would use on these banished children to help control their fears, like, oh my God, just a horrible, horrible concept, and a weird form of training or something to help them control their fears, because you basically have one chance, you know, and they don't explain it to them beforehand. It's kind of like, hey, go out there and see what happens, and if you're smart enough to figure out this is your worst fear that's attacking you, then you can conquer it. Like, super dark and super twisted, but like I said, I think it's one of the more creative plots I've seen from him, with usually it's just a monster, something like that, and then they all have to battle it. It kind of reminded me of, there's this other horror film that I've watched a long time ago, and I didn't realize how scary it was until I watched it. I believe it's called Dread. I think it came out in like the mid-2000s, and it had one of the guys from Twilight in it, not the main character, but one of the other vampire vampires was in it, and basically this guy, I'll try and remember, I'm pretty sure it's called Dread, but basically this guy poses as a documentarian and then finds out people's fears through this documentary and inflicts those worst fears on people. And yeah, it was horrible. Like, it was just, it's still with me today. That's how scary I found it. And that's what this kind of reminded me of, is facing your worst fears and trying to overcome them. But super cheesy, super gory, super fake. But that's what I love about Roger Corman as well, is just I'm kind of expecting that low budget feel, and it's still enjoyable. Like I said, they didn't really explain what was going on till the end of the film. It was just a rescue mission gone wrong. I think the most disturbing scene in this entire movie was that worm scene, where we had heard that crew member earlier mention that she hated worms, and then we see this giant one slowly grow and grow, and it attacks her. At first I thought it was attacking her, trying to kill her, but I feel like there was other horrible things happening that I don't even want to talk about because they were just so awful. And of course, in Roger Corman films, we've seen nudity several times. That's kind of his trademark, is that he likes to have very voluptuous women naked in several scenes of his film. That scene was just horrible, and just I'm not even gonna say out loud what I think happened, but I feel like if you've seen this film, it's just a horrible way to die, and just I'm not even gonna imagine that, because that's too horrible for words. I also thought it was interesting, there was that one character who seemed to have this really strong intuition, or could really sense things that were going wrong, and even when she's like, let's get out of here, like, I don't want to be here anymore, she could tell something was not right, obviously, and everybody's dropping like flies, and they're like, no, we've got to continue our mission. Especially that one guy, Baylor, he was just so adamant on staying and was being rude to everybody, and I feel like this wasn't a crew that worked together very often, as if these people were just picked randomly by the master, and he's like, I want to pick my own crew, so chances of them working together before, who knows? We obviously didn't get any backstory about these characters other than that one who said she survived that massacre, but also was like very tight-lipped about that and didn't really explain what was going on. So maybe that's what happened on that planet as well, something very similar. And then at the end, when we see that crew member become the master, and he's like, oh, I killed the master. He's like, no, you just killed an old guy, basically. Like, the concept of the master could be anybody. It's just happened to be in the body of an older human at that point. So now he's going to be the master. And yeah, I don't know if there are sequels or remakes or anything like that. Comment below and let me know. But overall, it's pretty much what you expect from a Roger Corman film. Lots of gore, but more creative concept, I thought. I like the idea that it was their fears that were attacking them. I like the character who had that extra strong sense of intuition. The master, I wish we would have explored kind of more of his backstory and why he was glowing red. I don't know, but thank you so much for sharing in this first time watching with me. If you have any other suggestions for sci-fi movies you think I should watch, please comment below. And as always, please like, comment, and subscribe to this channel, and check back often for more awesome content. Okay, she has some kind of special abilities where she can sense things stronger than other people. Is that like a throwing star? So making lemonade? What do we got going on here? Yeah, is he the only one that like sees this creature? Like, this looks like a giant junkyard. It's like a leech? Like it's like sucking the blood out of him or something?